This is the most absurd coronation in Chinese history. A starving teenager was picking stray grains by the roadside, and by the end of the day, he was emperor. In the long history of Chinese emperors, the throne is often described as sacred, a symbol of order, legitimacy, and the mandate of heaven. But once, just once, an emperor was chosen in a way that broke every rule. He did not inherit the throne. He did not fight for it. He did not even want it. He was simply picked randomly, like drawing a name out of a crowd. His name was Liu Penzi, a 14-year-old boy who became emperor only because someone pointed at him and said, "That one." It happened during one of the most chaotic moments in Chinese history. Wang Mang's regime had collapsed. Famine swept the land. Rebellions rose everywhere. Among them was the Red Eyebrow Army, a massive force that captured the former capital, Chang'an. But once inside the ruined capital, the Red Eyebrow leaders faced a problem that was strange, yet very real. They claimed to fight in the name of the Han dynasty, yet they had no Han emperor. For decades, the Liu Imperial clan had been hunted, exiled, scattered, or killed. By this point, very few members of the legitimate bloodline were still alive, and even fewer could be located. Most were hiding across the countryside, trying not to be noticed. But in the minds of ordinary people, one thing was still crystal clear. Only a man surnamed Liu could represent Han. If the Red Eyebrows wanted legitimacy, if they wanted the people to follow, they needed a Liu, not a prince, not a noble, not even someone remotely connected to the Imperial family, just a Liu. So they searched, not for an heir, those were nearly impossible to find, but for any person with the right surname. That was when they found 3 brothers on the roadside, bent over a wheat field, picking up fallen grains to survive. Thin, poor, dusty from head to toe. A soldier asked casually, "What's your surname?" One brother answered, "Liu." And everything changed. The soldiers didn't ask anything else. Not his age, not his lineage, not his background. They simply said, "Come with us. We're choosing an emperor." It sounded like a joke, but it wasn't. The 3 boys were brought into the Red Eyebrow camp. Thousands of soldiers crowded around them, arguing loudly, "The eldest should be emperor." "No, the middle one looks steadier. The youngest is the most obedient. He won't resist." Their criteria weren't about ruling a country. They were about convenience, obedience, and appearances. And so the choice fell on the youngest, Liu Penzi, a quiet, frightened teenager. He knelt down, trembling, and said honestly, "I am afraid. I dare not be emperor." But no one cared. That day, the Red Eyebrow Army placed a rough, improvised crown on the boy's head, draped him in worn silk, and shouted, "Long live the emperor!" It was the most improvised coronation in Chinese history. No rituals, no temples, no mandate of heaven. Just a crowd forcing a child to play the role of emperor. But the absurdity did not end with the coronation. Now that he was Emperor of Han, Liu Penzi had to act like one. The historical record states plainly, Penzi was young and ignorant of imperial matters. He didn't know how an emperor should sit, when he should bow, or how he should speak. He didn't know the difference between an imperial command and an ordinary sentence. So the Red Eyebrow generals taught him, literally coached him on posture, gestures, pacing, tone, and even facial expressions. He wasn't ruling a nation. He was performing a role he never auditioned for. Anything he did could be wrong, sit too low, and he looked weak. Sit too straight, and he looked unnatural. Speak softly, and he seemed timid. Speak loudly, and he seemed arrogant. He was the emperor, but also a puppet. Where the army went, he went. When they marched, he marched. When they fled, he fled. When food ran short, he starved with them. The throne for Liu Penzi was not a prize. It was a burden placed on a child's shoulders. As time passed, the Red Eyebrow forces began to fall apart. Their discipline collapsed, their victories stopped, and the emperor they carried around became a tired symbol of a fading cause. Eventually, they were defeated by Liu Xiu, the man who would become Emperor Guangwu and rebuild the Han dynasty. Liu Penzi was captured. It must have been a strange scene, a real emperor-to-be standing before a boy who had been pretending to be one. According to later accounts, Liu Xiu asked him, "You have been emperor for several years. What have you done?" Liu Penzi answered simply and honestly, "I never dared to be emperor." Those words stayed with Liu Xiu, because he understood. The boy was not a rival, not a threat, not a rebel. He was just a victim of the era, a symbol carried by chance. Liu Xiu spared him. He didn't punish or humiliate him. Instead, he assigned him a minor official post in a county, a quiet corner where he could live as an ordinary person. And from that point on, Liu Penzi disappeared into the flow of history. No palace, no temple, no lasting legacy. Just a brief, strange chapter in a time when order had broken and symbols were borrowed freely. It is easy to laugh at the absurdity. A boy picking up stray grains on the roadside suddenly becomes emperor because soldiers needed a surname. But beneath the absurdity is something deeper. When a system collapses, rules lose their meaning, titles lose their weight, and symbols replace substance. In such a world, a child can be lifted onto a throne not because he is chosen by heaven, but because he is simply the right surname at the right moment. Liu Penzi reminds us that in times of chaos, power can drift away from logic, fate can be assigned casually, and the roles people play may have little to do with who they truly are. Sometimes, a throne is just a prop, and sometimes, an emperor is just a boy who said his name aloud at the wrong moment in history.